The arguments I read about why DC should not become a state, I swear to God, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There, because Washington DC belongs to all of us. What?
What?
They pay federal taxes. How are they not a state? Like, what do you mean?
We don't.
I thought there was a whole thing about no taxation without representation. They have no representation, so maybe they shouldn't be taxed. And if they're not taxed, I want to move there because I don't want to be taxed.
Well, I mean, at least they can vote for president. Puerto Ricans can't unless they move to Florida.
Right. Yeah. No, there's a lot of stuff with states where we need to shit or get off the pot. Like either make Puerto Rico a state or be like, hey, Puerto Rico, you're free now.
Oh, no.
So make Puerto Rico a state, make Washington, D.C. a state, give California like 15 senators. Let's really try to like even the playing field.
No, I am totally down as a compromise with Republicans to force the U.S. Virgin Islands to become a state as well.
Oh, no one wants that because then all their money is going to get reported.
No. But they would definitely get 2 Republican senators out of the deal. See, that's why most states were admitted in pairs.
Right. For
the explicit purpose of one of them would be one state would be pro-slavery, one would be anti-slavery, and the balance must be maintained. Yeah,
that was dumb.
Like the Republicans have shown zero concern about maintaining balance whenever they just kept appointing more and more Republicans to the SCOTUS. So fuck them, I say. The Supreme Court to 13 people, make Puerto Rico and DC a state. They don't get any Republican states. And then blow up the filibuster when all that's done. So
no. You have to destroy the filibuster first,
right?
Because you can't do DC and Puerto Rican statehood without blowing up the filibuster. It requires right now a 60.
I thought you were going to say
60 threshold to
when
vote.
you said Phil, I thought you were like, and then blow up the Philippines, and we'll. I was like, what did the Philippines?
I thought that without the filibuster,
why did you want to leave? We could have been so good together.
Why did you fight us, Philippines? Why? All right. So real quick, we'll start, I guess, if you guys want to go in order of the thing. Bobby, we'll start with Caitlyn Jenner. And then we'll go.
We're not doing intros?
Oh, hold on. I'm doing a quick run through and then we'll intro. We can cut this. I know. Anyway, all right. So
and will we?
I don't know. Damn it, Walda. All right.
We'll fix it in post.
fucking intro. Fuck it. We'll do it live.
We are live.
Play us out. What does that mean?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen out there in Radio Land. This is those Muckrakers coming to you live once again through the power of the internet. I'm Pat.
I'm Pete.
I'm Bobby.
And this is episode 114. Tell them what's on the docket today, Pete.
Well, today in the news, we're going to talk a little about Caitlyn Jenner. She's running for office. Yay. And then I am going to go into I made a mistake. I subscribed to like Newsweek because I thought they were like Time. Like I think they used to be more reasonable, and so I have an article.
They pretty much always
subscribe to One American News Network.
That's kind of what they've turned into. So I want to talk a little bit about that because I read this really amazing opinion piece by Newsweek. And
I just want to like sign Wesley up for One American News Network and just like give him his address, and then that way the articles just
he's not easily radicalized, but sometimes he'll say stuff in our group chat and we'll be like, Wesley, that's wrong, and he'd be like, oh, okay, and I'm like, no. Then we're gonna get
now. You have to stop masturbating for 6 whole months while you focus on dominating women. All right.
We'll get in
more about the red pill bullshit today.
As the news likes to tell people too, find out what's in your honey. Stay tuned for that segment later.
Can your honey kill you? Find out later in the episode.
Yeah. What does your honey and cesium have in common?
What does your honey and strychnine have in common?
Because what
does
honey and cesium have in common? Turns out absolutely nothing. A fascinating new research. Yes, people have already thrown away all their cesium because it has honey in it.
That's capitalism. All right, so Bobby, tell us about Caitlyn Jenner running for governor. I'm very worried about this news story. I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna get fucking letters.
So basically,
I'd love for us to get letters.
Caitlyn Jenner is quite possibly the least popular trans person in the world of trans people. She's not very well liked for some very obvious political reasons, but also it sort of feeds into this kind of tokenization. This is what I've been told. This is I'm not trans. No one here is. I don't think anybody on this podcast is trans. Pronouns are he, him. Anyway,
she's kind of an Aunt Tom.
But it sort of feeds into it feeds into this sort of like, you know, we had a black president, so racism is over. Oh, Caitlyn Jenner got to be on the cover of Vogue. I guess transphobia is over. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And instead of standing back and saying, like Barack Obama did on several occasions, you know, guys, that ain't it. Like that's not how that works. That's not how this is going down. Caitlyn Jenner has basically embraced it and said, yes, I am the unifier. And now the whole reason that she even gets a chance right now to try and run, because I'm pretty sure this is a publicity stunt, but then again, we thought Trump was a publicity stunt. It probably was at first, and then it went to his head. But anyway,
it definitely was at first, because they were trying to cancel, or what was it? He was trying to get a raise on The Apprentice, and they didn't want to give him a raise, so he thought that it would be a great publicity stunt and make him more popular if he ran for president. And then he went out there and said, all Mexicans are rapists, folks, and then they fired him from The Apprentice.
Right, and then they fired him.
Shit, now I got to do this because I need the income.
They fired him from The Apprentice, and then they gave him the presidency. So
in order to talk about Caitlyn Jenner's gubernatorial ambitions, we have to talk about everyone's favorite Democrat, Gary Newsom, current governor, as of time of recording, the governor of California. He is facing a conservative revolt against him. I mean, it's very unlikely that he's actually going to be recalled. California has a lot of recalls. If you don't know about it, like it's apparently very easy in California to recall a politician. Arnold Schwarzenegger got recalled. He survived it.
Wait, Arnold Schwarzenegger survived the total recall?
Yes. Well, as always, he always survives the total recall.
Get to the governor's mansion.
Caitlyn Jenner, it appears to live in this complete bubble world. She tried during the 2016-2017 like political cycle to be like, I'm going to go help Trump get it right on trans issues and everything like this. And she just doesn't seem to be able to get it through her head that Republicans tolerate you as a person. There is a not insignificant minority within the Republican voting base and within Republican politicians that would like to see you dead, that would like to be the cause of your death.
It's very similar to
you are a man in drag who is looking to molest and terrorize children and women.
It's the same way.
They don't think of you as a person, Caitlyn. They really fucking don't.
It's the same way they have Candace Owens, the same way they put Ben Carson in charge of something, because like you said, they love tokenism.
No. Fucking brain surgeon. Well, we'll have him in the administration. What should he be? The Surgeon General? No. Housing and urban development.
Yeah.
Just something about him screams urban.
They love tokenism, and it's really annoying. And
but it was the only member, not counting Trump and Pence, Ben Carson was the only member of their original administration that made all 4 years.
Honestly, I think
he kept his head down. He kept his head down and didn't say anything. He didn't rock any boat. He didn't.
He was in one scandal, and that was whenever he lied and said his wife bought the desk when really it was most likely him. But besides that, he was out of the news.
There was a little minor kerfuffle where a video or maybe writing of his resurfaced from like his church, where he said he thought perhaps the Egyptian pyramids were built for grain storage.
Yes,
And
I remember that.
was,
I forgot about that.
yeah, it's some of his like young
Sure.
Christian creationism stuff.
No, it's what gets me about Caitlyn Jenner, and it's the same thing that bothers me about like Ellen. Like if you remember, like Ellen was hanging out with George W. Bush when they were.
She still is. She still is.
Yeah, when they were
best friends with a fucking war criminal.
It made you realize that what transcends everything, what transcends maybe the difficulty of being trans and the difficulty of being gay, is if you're fucking rich.
Money.
If you're rich and you're white, that transcends it. You're part of a club, and Caitlyn Jenner is part of like the rich white person club, and what upsets me is these people also use.
That's why she's in a bubble and doesn't really see how harmful these people are. Is because her money lets her rise above and stay against everything.
Well, that's the whole thing about right after she came out, a bunch of trans people were like, "That's great, yay, Caitlyn, we're proud of you, we're happy for you, welcome to the family. So, what are you going to do to help with trans issues?" And she, like, even on their show, friends of hers are trying to tell her, "Babe, this ain't a good look." And she's just like, well, I mean, it's whatever, you know, if other people want to transition, that's fine, but that's up to them. And it's, you know, if they live in a place that won't let them, then they need to move. And like, just complete fucking bubble.
Well,
about the fact her being able to move is an option. To normal people, being able to move is not an option. Well, I know what you're thinking, Peter, but you're also not a normal person. You're also not rich.
Yeah, and I want to make it clear that, like, you know, like I don't dislike Caitlyn Jenner because she transitioned. I dislike her because I hate anybody that is in like the rich people bubble that's completely divorced from reality. I believe when she was on the cover of Vogue, she had a quote where they're like, "What's the hardest thing about, you know, transitioning to being a woman?" And she was like, "Figuring out what to wear."
The hardest thing about transitioning to be a woman is that the medical bills and the wait to be able to get the medical help you need to make that transition can be like 10, 15 years, and then you get denied at the end of that wait.
Yeah,
but she got to skip that because she's rich.
And what it is now is, depending on what state you're in, can make all the difference. Because right now, I think it's Florida, Arkansas, Louisiana was considering a bill to prevent the use of puberty blockers was the big thing. So like people who transition early in life, you know, people who come to the realization that they are trans and they start seeing counseling and they start, you know, going to therapy and stuff like that. If you are prepubescent, using puberty blockers can be a fucking lifesaver.
Yeah.
Like literally the difference between life and death. States of Florida and Arkansas have said, no, fuck that. You can't do that. That's mutilating children. No, it's not.
But
it's a fully reversible set of hormones.
But like, Bobby, but what about figuring out what to wear? Isn't that difficult?
Oh, it's so difficult. It's so difficult. There are states now that want to see your genitals if you're going to play on the basketball team.
Like, you know, back in the day, we used to just call that coach's favorite.
Yeah, but no,
wasn't that something they actually used to do, like way back in the day? Like it was the coach's responsibility to like check everyone for testicular cancer.
I think that was only your baseball coach, Wilder.
I think that may have just been your high school. Yeah.
Yeah, he told me to bend over.
But it's whenever you're talking about, like, you know, some people sometimes ask, like, you know, well, where, you know, when, you know, what are your politics, Bobby? I'm like, I don't like to assign myself to one thing or another. Just other people can figure it out. And whenever I'm dead and worshipped by millions of fans, they can say that it was Bobbyism. But you know, but you know, it's like one of the things that really pushed me out of like capitalist centrism of, oh, I guess the Republicans are sometimes right and the Democrats are sometimes right. Like what really pushed me out of that, it wasn't Caitlyn Jenner, it wasn't that recent. It was back whenever right after I finished college. What really pushed me over was people who literally acted like that. I'm sitting there going, you are not only voting against your own best interest, you're fucking over everyone else who is like you, that is being ground to a pulp. And then by the time that I realized it was capitalism, I was like, oh my God, it's fucking capitalism. It's capitalism. Holy fucking shit, it's capitalism. No, but that's exactly what it is. And you're right, it is the exact same thing. Like as a member of the LGBTQ community, it's maddening whenever, it's exactly what some leftists have phrased it. It's, oh, inclusivity, yay, we're so inclusive. We have the most trans drones pilots of color killing indiscriminately people who are thousands of miles away. America, like, no, stop it. You could have 1,000 gay CEOs. It's not going to make anything better.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Fuck Pete Buttigieg. Fuck it. Fuck Pete Buttigieg. I fucking hate Pete Buttigieg. Oh, it's driving me fucking crazy.
You said in the earliest episodes of those Muckrakers, eat the rich. That'll solve all of our problems.
You gave me a really great segue into the military-industrial complex.
Yay!
This news article, it's not really an article so much as this is my slow realization that Newsweek is a conservative fucking propaganda arm of the Republican Party.
Oh, they pretty much always have been.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
They always have been.
Maybe I got them confused with Time Magazine because they have similar color schemes. But this one finally
one thing that confused me for a while, and eventually I realized it was on purpose, was that the Washington Times and the New York Post are both right-wing propaganda machines, but they're designed to look like real newspapers, and that's why their names are so close to the Washington Post and the New York Times, because they want to trick people like me. Whenever I first started actually reading newspapers regularly, I would find their articles and read them as a source. And that was also back when I was still more of a fence sitter and saying, oh, well, maybe sometimes one's right and sometimes others right. Later, I realized that that's about trying to say maybe there's a middle ground between flat earthers and everyone else.
Yeah.
No, one's clearly extremely wrong all the time.
Anyway. Yeah, no, that's before we just came out when you're like, I got my news from freedomeagle.net/liberty.
I get all my news from Glenn Beck and Woodland Critters.
Yeah. So the name of this opinion piece is "Countless lives have been cut short by marijuana." And usually countless lives have been cut short by marijuana. So normally
the police arrest people, maybe that cuts their lives pretty fucking short.
I wish. So normally I didn't have a chance to look up this guy, Ken Sabet. Normally when I look up these people, they turn out to be some kind of what do you call it? Conservative hack, Yeah. And so basically it's a story of this guy. He was a happy young man, but he was in the 82nd Airborne and did a tour of duty in Iraq. And they said at 31, he was in a downward spiral. And then in 2014, at the age of 31, he was found dead hanging from a tree. He hung himself. And he had a note that said, "My soul is already dead. Marijuana killed my soul and ruined my brain." So
that'll happen.
He was on more than pot.
Well, hold on. Here's what it is. There's a really great quote here where they said several studies have such as one at Yale have found that marijuana exacerbates the symptoms of PTSD. So in this whole article, they go on and on about what a good guy he was. Oh, by the way, he went to war and had PTSD. But anyway, marijuana forced him to kill himself. Marijuana made the PTSD. No one goes, maybe we should
be like a veteran's health issue.
Well, it's one of those maybe sending him to war is what actually killed him, not the marijuana.
No, but I hear they have gay people flying the drones now, so it's all cool, right?
So it's all right,
No, it's trans people. The entire drone operations, it's nothing but trans people. That's in order to help conservatives get more comfortable with trans people, is to just make them all drone pilots. It's pretty much from the moment
possibly have PTSD then. That's what I'm hearing.
So the quote I wanted to give you guys was, to this day, this guy's mom fights to bring to light the real effects of today's high potency marijuana. She co-founded Mom Strong, a support group intended to educate and raise awareness about the mental health risks of marijuana. Each day she carries a glossy photo of Andy looking chiseled in his Army beret and uniform. Under his steady gaze are the printed words, "Andy served our country, but marijuana took his freedom." And it's very sad. It's very sad that this woman's son killed himself, but it's also sad that she goes, "Why did he do this? It must have been the marijuana, not the fact that he went to war and it fucked up his brain." And that's, I guess, why I'm gonna unclick my what's going on in Newsweek, because it's just fuck you, Newsweek. Fuck you. Fuck it. Reprinting reefer madness. Like, I just like they mentioned multiple times that the guy went to war.
But they're just giving two sides to it, because there's only ever two sides. There's just two sides. You should only, like, we're just giving both of the sides. And
you gotta give
whether or not one of those sides is backed up by science and facts and studies, and the other side is just pure speculation, well, that's for the reader to decide.
It just,
that's for the reader to decide.
It's like there was a really interesting study, and man, I gotta find it again, but there was this, they were terrified towards the end of the Vietnam War. They did like a survey, and a huge 60-70% of servicemen admitted in this survey to having used intravenous drugs, and opiates.
Yes.
And so they freaked out because they go, this war is going to end, and all these dudes are going to come back in country with a heroin habit, and it's going to be crazy. So what they found out was all of these servicemen came back and stopped using opiates because they weren't in the middle of a fucking war zone anymore. They were like, oh yeah, I don't need to shoot up to drown out the horrors that I have to sleep through every night. Oh man, just go on about my life.
Yeah, it's funny. Whenever you don't have to, wake up every morning, have a shitty breakfast in a shitty place, and then go out and kill some farmers and come back to have a shitty dinner and listen to more killing of farmers going on for the night shift. I mean, it's a sleeping.
Yeah, when you're not suffering from, what is it, CTE from the
you don't have the banging of mortars right outside your door, you can slip right off to sleep.
But guys, it's not the mortars, it's marijuana that's the real danger.
Devil's lettuce.
God, that just made me so angry just the whole time. Just the whole article, they're like, she holds a picture of her son in combat and warning about the dangers of marijuana. I'm like, oh my God, Jesus, lady. I know you're grieving, but for fuck's sake, nobody in that family was like, honey.
Marijuana made my son kill himself, ma'am. This is a Wendy's. I'm gonna
yes. I'm gonna change. I'm gonna just start doing a Newsweek opinion piece and call it, sir, this is a Wendy's. That's gonna be the new segment from now on.
Pete's Wendy's corner.
Yeah, Pete's, this is a Wendy's corner. All right, Waldo, you wanted
this was my son. I'll have to ask my manager.
Speaking of this is a Wendy's, let's talk about Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy.
Oh, let me tell you about the Wendy's. I stuck it right here in My Pillow, folks. You can order one for yourself. So
no, it's one of the I'm sorry. One of the funniest jokes I've ever seen about My Pillow was Kate McKinnon on SNL is playing Laura Ingraham, and she's talking about my few but proud sponsors I have left, and it was one of them was from the makers of My Pillow comes your pillow. Send us your pillow. We need more pillows.
I kind of love the My Pillow guy because if I remember his life story right, he was addicted to crack cocaine. And one day in the night, the Lord told him, go forth and build a pillow company. And he did. And it was successful. And of course, he's a Trump supporter. He's an unhinged cocaine addict, a crackhead.
Hey.
Rich.
Unhinged religious fanatic, former cocaine addict.
Yeah.
And let me tell you right now, cocaine is amazing.
I was going to say, cocaine's a hell of a drug.
No, it's amazing.
It's a hell of a drug.
You shouldn't do it. But if anybody has some and is willing to share, we'll just not do it over here.
But I don't think it was just coke. I think it was crack.
So send it to us, care of.
I think Wesley. Mail your crack rock to
Send me cocaine in the mail again. That makes a dog's bark.
There's all these SWAT guys kicking through my trailer.
Oh my God.
All my neighbors keep coming by and checking my mailbox. They won't quit sniffing it.
No, I think
so. What you should really do is adopt retired police dogs. They'll help you find cocaine.
Wesley.
No, I don't think it was just coke. I think he was legitimately smoking crack. Steal the copper out of your walls. You know what I mean? Take it to the metal recycling plant. Crack.
I actually found out there's probably razor blades in my bathroom wall. So this was.
Well, you're about to say in my pillow.
To find out the house that I live in was built sometime in either the 40s or 50s, and one of the really popular bathroom fixtures at the time was in the back of the medicine cabinet was a little slot, and whenever you got done with your razor, You took it out and you just chucked it into the wall. Like, no one's ever going to find this. There's probably a pile of razor blades in my wall, but until disposable razors got popular, that's where people put spent razor blades.
I mean, that
Isn't
makes
that insane?
That's actually
like, could you imagine discovering that when you're like particularly mad one night, you like punch the wall and just come out with a fistful of razors?
I'm not
joking. Happening to Ozzy, Peter?
I'm not joking. Google, I found razor blades in my bathroom wall. Like, I'm not kidding.
Nice.
Tons of people are doing remodels on these older craftsmen and like post World War II homes, and they're just finding that the bathroom walls, like just one set of rafters, one set of upright, 2x4s, it's just chock-a-block with razor blades. It's fucking insane. I'm so sorry. Wow, what a tangent. Wildo, what were you talking about?
One of my favorite My Pillow Guy sketches was from Seth Meyers, whenever he was like looking at him and saying, how does this guy who makes my pillows always look like he's never had a wink of sleep? Like, what does he put in his pillow? Live rats?
Crack rock.
Sleep? How can I sleep with all the scratching? But anyway,
I don't sleep. I lay there and I listen to the Lord tell me what to do.
Those people are crazy.
He started a new website recently, and
it's supposed to be the conservative Facebook, right? Because they're like, we're being censored.
It's supposed to replace Twitch and YouTube, and it's not really set up to do either of those things. It's just kind of
we need to get on that.
It doesn't look like there's like a way to, but I mean, we can sign up and see what happens. Like, basically, so far, it's just like videos of him hosted by his servers, because he can't post them on YouTube like we can, because he's banned from YouTube and Twitch and Twitter. I mean,
good Lord, what is it called?
It is called.
Isn't it called Frank or something weird?
Frank Speech.
Yeah,
it's called Frank Speech. And it's called that instead of Pillow Talk, which is what I would have named it, because that's a clever name.
Yeah.
Like, people don't know who the hell Mike Lindell is. They know My Pillow Guy.
Yeah.
So Pillow Talk would have worked better.
Or My Pillow Talk. That would have been amazing. Like, I got my pillow.
Yes. Oh my God.
I got my pillow talk. Like.
Yeah, mypillowtalk.tv. It's fucking perfect.
Yeah.
He did start mystore.com, by the way. It's just sort of a side note. Like, this is down at the end of what I had to say. It's he says that it's going to be bigger than Amazon, and his pitch is that it'll let businesses sell their goods online. Or his exact words are,
it's revolutionary.
This is what crackheads do. They come up with all these ideas like rapid fire, but they're ideas that already exist. Like, what about a website that lets businesses sell their stuff online? Let's do it. We'll call it
My Store.
Yeah, My Store.
Yeah, so
My Store.
So he started a new website. He launched it with a 24-hour marathon show, right? Where he and someone else, and I couldn't find the guy's name anywhere, but that doesn't matter. The two of them just talked about crazy nonsense forever, namely how the election was rigged, that type of stuff, right?
He did have that whole documentary that got pulled, not pulled from Newsmax, but Newsmax aired it with like extreme, this is paid advertising. This is, not the opinions of Newsmax, its editorial staff, or anybody that works here. This is just a guy that paid us $75 million to put this hour and a half on. It's totally on him. It's not on us.
That's because everyone's terrified of being sued.
Yeah.
By the way, the company that sued him for like 1.4 billion.
Dominion Voting?
Dominion Voting, yeah. He countered-sued them for the same amount of money, so that's nice. Because he doesn't have a leg to stand on.
Again, that's a crackhead. That's a crackhead.
No, and then
you don't sue me. I sue you. I want $1.4 billion.
They try to get punitive damages as well. Like,
it's like yesterday I was in a gas station and the exact same. It's like crackhead judo. There was a guy yelling at this dude to get out of here. He's like, "You a bum? Get the fuck out of here!" He's like, "I ain't no bum. You a bum. You get out of here. I ain't getting out of here." Like, that's just, there's no way. You can't argue with it. Whatever you say, they throw it back at you.
It's 4D chess, man. It's 4D chess. That's the reason that stuff's illegal, man. It makes people too smart. Cocaine is amazing, though.
During the 24-hour marathon, speaking of cocaine fuel, during the 24-hour marathon, he brought on all kinds of guests. Like, the looniest Looney Tunes and the criminaliest criminals you've ever seen from the Trump era. It was Roger Stone, Steve Bannon.
Was Uncle Rudy there?
No, I don't think you get Rudy Giuliani.
At a certain point,
but that would have been the best, though.
I think I've talked about this before, but at a certain point, they are they're like Batman's rogues gallery. Like they all have,
especially Roger Stone. He looks like a Batman villain.
They all have weird ticks. They all want to destroy Batman.
Destroy the Batman. But it's also like all of Trump's administration was like a supervillain clique. But someone was a friend of mine who's super into DC was quick to point out, someone was like, oh, Trump's gonna be evil like Lex Luthor in the White House. And a friend of mine just clapped back with, excuse me, Lex Luthor has served 8 terms as US president, and he served it with no corruption whatsoever. All he tried to do was make sure that Superman was kept in check, which for some people was a legitimate concern. He never raised taxes, and he got a lot of infrastructure built. I was like, oh my fucking God.
Trump never got any infrastructure built. Do you remember every time there was a scandal?
Oh my God,
say, okay,
it was
infrastructure
surefire. You knew a scandal was about to hit when it was infrastructure week. Oh my God.
That was so wonderful how they kept doing that. I mean, they never actually had it, by the way. Joe Biden, though, has a real infrastructure plan he's pushing forward. It's actually happening. We're actually going to have a real infrastructure week. And no scandals.
The insulting thing about Lex Luthor being compared to Trump, Lex Luthor was a superb specimen of a human being. He's a human going up against a super fast, super powerful, super smart alien and gave him a run for his money. Pretty impressive.
Trump he's challenging a god.
Trump couldn't challenge a hill in a golf cart.
Yeah. So it's also Lex Luthor never challenged a non-nuclear nation with a nuclear exchange.
Yeah.
Point of fact.
Yeah.
Trump wanted to nuke Iran. Iran is trying to build nuclear weapons, but has yet to build one. Would just like to point that out. Point for Lex Luthor.
Do they not have Google? I thought maybe it's not the Googling of it. Maybe it's getting the things after you Google it. But I digress.
But also, so you know how Frank's speech is supposed to be all about, we're being censored, folks. So we got to have a place where the First Amendment matters.
Oh, I think I heard this part. Yeah.
He's banned all swear words. He's banned using the Lord's name in vain. There's like all these different rules that infringes upon your First Amendment rights that he into his website. I love it when loony
libertarian types are, first of all, they're all capitalists, and second of all, they're all Christian, or at least a huge chunk of them are, and they don't see the problem within libertarianism of being religious. It just fucking blows my mind.
I'm surprised that it was called Frank and it wasn't just called like, you know what? I got this new thing. It's going to replace YouTube, and it's just called N-word.
Yeah.
Like, go on and Google.
Don't like that name for the website. His name's not Frank, and he should have named it Peloton.
I got it. We're gonna name it. We're gonna name it. Hold on. We're gonna name it My N-word. That's what we're gonna name it. Like that. I'm just waiting for the day. Like they come out into the open more and more with each passing day. Eventually, we're just
sign up. You can tell us what your N-word name is, folks. Come on, it's my N-word.
Yeah, that's what we're gonna get to.
Oh man.
Yep, that's what he's up to now. I'll let you know if it how well the website does. I know that like on the launch day, like everything sort of exploded and no one could really access it. So
it was probably with the success of theparlor.com, a bunch of people were probably trying to test the security measures. Hopefully, Mike Lindell hired more than one IT person, and
he didn't hire any.
That's who I feel bad for, is the IT people that like Trump and Mike Lindell turn to and they go, make my thing work. And they're just like, I haven't slept in 45 days, man. You haven't paid me yet. I'm pretty sure
the crunch is real. I mean, well, that's one thing that Mike Lindell at least has over Donald Trump is Mike Lindell actually pays people.
Yeah.
Because he has money.
He runs a successful business. He
actually ran a successful business, unlike Trump.
As improbable as his dream was, he made it work.
Yeah, he was good at one thing.
The funniest insult to Trump I've ever heard in my life was somebody was shouting at somebody else on the internet, as is traditional, and they were like, no, man, and then you all got taken in by a fucking proto-fascist, and we all followed the Pied Piper of mail order steaks to the third circle of hell. I was like, oh my god.
Yep.
He actually did have Trump steaks at one point.
That's what he was talking about. It was Trump steaks, Trump wine, Trump Airlines, no, Trump Shuttle. It was called Trump Shuttle.
University, which
Trump
was
University.
Yeah.
Oh, he swore up and down during the election, I'm not going to settle out of court. This is, fucking liberal judges, da 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 da. Yeah, and then quietly, right before the election, he settled out of court with the attendance of Trump University.
And also remember how they kept saying how evil the Clinton Foundation is, even though, third party, like, what do you call it? Not observers, but whatever it was. People have looked at it and it's higher ranked than Red Cross, right? Like, it's a very good foundation. Meanwhile, the Trump Foundation is so seedy that now his entire family's banned from ever having another charity again, ever working for another charity again. And they would all be in prison, except they're all the children of the former president.
If they had existed, I think, after the progressive era of the 1900s, because they wouldn't go to jail before the 1900s, I don't think.
No, they wouldn't have. But they also would not have had a charity to skim off the top from.
Yeah,
before the 1900s.
I think so. I think if they had existed anywhere before this weird rabbit hole we're in now, but after the progressive era, they would have 100% gone to jail. They were fucking born under a lucky star into the right.
Well, they were born under Reaganism. They were born under neoliberalism, which is just capitalism with extra steps.
So here's here's something that I really enjoy, and this is why my background is the mushroom cloud, because I read this today, and this is Pete's Science Corner. Remember last week we talked about
the mushroom cloud.
Yeah, we talked about super fun sites because they're super fun. Well, apparently now American honey is radioactive from decades of nuclear testing. Now, what's interesting about this article is they swear that the radiation is far below the threshold that's dangerous for human beings, but these are the same people
honey? All honey?
Yeah.
Well,
all America. All American honey, which I assume means the rest of the world as well, because of all the nuclear testing that Russia did. God knows what European honey.
I have some honey in my house. I need to go put it in like the lead jar.
You should go get near it with a Geiger counter and just see what it does. But these are the same people that I don't know if you guys, there's a whole greater story we can do on nuclear testing, but back during the 50s, I believe, people were like, I don't know about this radioactive stuff. I think it was like a quarter of the cows and sheep in like Nevada just died one day because a weird pink cloud floated over, and they're like, I wonder if that's the radiation.
Well, and there is a coalition of people that are still fighting the federal government for basically reparations for being downwind. And they call themselves the downwinders. They were downwind, and it's a lot of people in eastern Nevada, a lot of people in southern Utah, parts of Colorado, and they've actually joined in solidarity with several former Soviet satellite state groups, especially in Kazakhstan, all the people who were downwind of all the like exploding Soviet rockets that then just got rocket fuel sprayed all over them for a day or so after a rocket just went pop over the Cosmodrome. And there's serious coalition between these groups of people, the downwinders, and it is absolutely horrifying. We irradiated our own public. Like
the amount. Not only did they not, I mean,
to say nothing of the former dissidents of the Bikini Atoll. Yeah, and various parts of French Polynesia as well.
Not only did we not really fully understand what it was going to do, but after it happened, I don't know if they still exist. The Atomic Energy Commission was the one in charge of everything, and people were like, "Hey, did my goats die because of your radiation?" And they were like, "Nah, it must have been something else, man." Well, my wife.
Yeah, they've changed their name, but that is still around. It's like the Nuclear Regulatory Commission or something. They changed it from atomic to nuclear, I think. And then there's the International Nuclear regulatory commission or something like that is set up through the UN, and every country who has nuclear reactors and nuclear weapons signed up to it.
Well, a bunch of
including
doctors,
us, which is very odd because we don't really get on board with any of the hegemony that we try to do.
Yeah, a bunch of doctors got together and fought the Atomic Energy Commission. They started this program like Send Us Your Child's Baby Teeth when they fall out, and they processed a bunch of them to find out how much, I can't remember if it was cesium-92 or what it was
cesium. Oh,
or
God.
maybe it was
the Tooth Fairy story.
Because I know what you're talking about, but I forget.
Anyway,
like,
so by processing these teeth, they found out that, like, oh shit, there's a lot more fucking radioactivity that's getting into the plants, and then the cows, and then the milk, and then the children's teeth, and it's going to make us all sick. So now it's in honey, and what really got me about this whole thing is this is
the honey ate the children.
This is the concentration of cesium, and plants apparently really, really love it because they think that it's I can't remember if it's nitrogen or what that it's similar to. So plants suck it up, then it gets to the bees, and it kills the bees, by the way.
That's what's been happening with bees. Oh no, it comes full circle. We had a bee episode earlier too.
Yeah, so everyone's just like, I wonder what's killing the bees. Everything, literally, DDT, the fucking nuclear radiation. All the other stupid shit we're doing.
Roundup is not particularly good.
Roundup. So this stuff, they said it had a half-life of like 30 years. And they're like, well, dang, it's been a couple of 30 years and it's still killing. I don't understand. So it's like they don't fully understand, but even though they do, they lie about it. So now your honey's radioactive. So fucking enjoy that, I guess. Like every time we do the show now, I'm just like, for fuck's sake, really?
Well, I mean, all of the past was terrible.
I used to look
repercussions.
I used to look forward to the apocalypse, like we're going to be wandering the desert, fighting each other for gasoline. No, we're all going to be dying of lymphoma.
Yeah,
we're all going to be just laid up with fucking tumors on our heads, slowly dying of cancer because everything's irradiated.
But if that didn't happen, couldn't you see yourself as being like the guitar guy from the last Mad Max movie or whatever it was called?
No, that looked horrible. Why would I want to be a blind guitarist strapped to a fucking thing?
Well, you're blind from the radiation, but you stayed for the guitaring.
No, I want to be in the Mad Max car driving as far away as quickly as possible. I don't want to be any part of that. So I don't really have a conclusion for this. Just, well, that's your science for today. Check your honey with a fucking Geiger counter.
Yeah. So
send your honey to Wesley.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna get to Uncle Bobby's "Everything in the Past Was Terrible" segment.
Oh,
right?
No. This was the Vice article that I wanted to do.
The Vice article.
Everything is terrible.
Okay.
This week.
Well, we'll replace that with the Vice article then. That's fine.
I mean, I can have I can do a quick one if you'd like me to, but
let's do the Vice article. Let's do this thing right now. Is terrible.
Okay. All right, yeah, because I mean, I
right now is
my picture for it. Now, some people, like, whenever I first put this up, Peter asked, is this photoshopped? No. For people listening, what is currently projected around me in the window is a German Ice 1 train, which is Germany's high-speed rail network. Germany, very late to the game on high-speed rail, but they did get it done, and.
Unlike certain other first world countries.
Yeah, the Ice 1 train was built by Siemens, which is of course a German firm. They do a lot of different types of manufacturing. They also make trains. And in the 90s, I want to say this says that it's copyright 93. In 1993, we were looking to upgrade the Northeast Corridor. Of course, Amtrak's, their main line running from Boston thereabouts all the way to Washington, D.C., thereabouts. Parts of the Northeast Corridor also go into Connecticut and into I think Vermont, New Hampshire, and parts of New York and stuff. Well, anyway, parts of New York that aren't New York City anyway. So they decided to do this big grand tour with a German ice train. And see, it says Amtrak on it. It's an Amtrak ice train. Isn't that cute? We had two. They were brought over. They were modified to American gauge because, of course, nothing is standardized. Why would it be?
Yeah.
And they ran it as a service on the Northeast Corridor, as kind of like a, hey, this is what we're thinking about doing. Huh, Senator Joe Biden, wouldn't you like to have some high-speed rail? We ended up going with a different system, but this very interesting little train set behind me.
Only take the slow train to work. Fast train's just not the same.
It's But this train that is right behind me actually did then tour, I want to say 32 states. Now you might be asking yourself, well, you might be asking me, well, Bobby, I see that there's a catenary connector up there. This is an electric train. How'd they get it? Well, they just stuck a giant GE Genesis diesel locomotive to the front of this thing and towed it through Pennsylvania and Michigan.
That's
and
the most
that
fucking American thing I've ever heard. Like, whatever will we do with this technology of the future? Hook a fucking steam engine to it and drag that shit across the country.
Yeah. Well, okay. So a lot of people sort of poo-poo high-speed rail in the United States. Do we have high-speed rail currently? Is a question that's asked because, believe it or not, the term high-speed rail is nebulous. Like, for instance, right now. So what started this what started this whole topic was Amtrak released a plan of what they would do with the $80 billion that the current iteration of the Biden infrastructure plan would give them. It was just giving Amtrak $80 billion, get at it, folks, show me some trains. And they released this map with, like, you know, where they'd like to make new connections, where they would like to improve existing service, where they would like to, and, you know, it was like 2 more trains a day between Charlotte and Atlanta and like all this kind of stuff. And I've seen a lot of people go, either, wow, that's where we're building high-speed rail. No, it's not it. And then I've had other people just go, oh, well, if it's not high speed, we shouldn't be doing it at all. High-speed rail or nothing. Well, here's the thing, folks. Okay, first of all, be excited. This is the biggest investment in Amtrak's history.
I'm not gonna lie, I hate the airlines and I also hate flying. So anything.
No. I live in Savannah. And what I do to get home, because I have no problem with Delta employees. I have a problem with Delta the business. Delta employees have never been anything but nice to me and very helpful and all this kind of stuff. I fucking hate Delta, and because I live in Georgia, it's Delta or bust, really. But anyway, so in order to get back to my native Louisiana, I would either have to take a 37-hour Greyhound bus trip to New Orleans. Yeah, because it stops a lot of places, and then you get out, you have a connection because there's no direct Savannah to Baton Rouge bus.
I mean,
bus just doesn't exist.
I did get stuck for 4 hours in Virginia when I was going to North Carolina last time. Funny enough, the place I was going to North Carolina was 4 hours away from the bus stop in Virginia. So that was fun.
No, but so let me just take a look here. Okay, so high-speed rail, a lot of people don't know what it is. We're going to use the French train as a model. The TGV, very, very competently run train service. It's called the SNFC, which stands for Société Nationale something trains. I don't know. Anyway, but they run the passenger service for France, and they operate all of France's high-speed rail network that is theirs, because some of it is Germany, some of it's Spain, some of it's Britain's, and some of it they share, you know, operations. Like an ice train will run into a certain French town, and then the French train will take over, and then the trip back the next day will be a French train going to a German town. Anyway, so a lot of this Amtrak map that was released got a lot of people excited, and rightfully so. You should be excited about this map. But to the people who are saying we don't need high-speed rail, here's the problem. We need to cut carbon emissions by 45% in the next 10 years. Getting cars off the road and planes out of the sky, even with a diesel electric train system, will help us meet that goal. The more people we can get out of the sky and out of their cars, the better.
I'm more than willing to just start taking the train everywhere.
Well, part of the problem.
High-speed rail, but hang on. High-speed rail works really well in a scenario that a lot of American metropolitan centers find themselves in, and it is called too short to fly, too far to drive. There's a sweet spot. It's about 500 miles apart, given interstate speeds and given airport congestion, etc. So like right now, California is building its high-speed rail system. It's not going to come, and everyone's like, oh, they're taking so long with high-speed rail. It took Japan 40 years to get to where they are. It took France 60. It took Germany 30. California has been building high-speed rail for about 7 years now. Yeah, it's gonna take time, but I have a big problem with the California high-speed rail system is because in America, we do not have a culture of train writing. It really is a culture. And this was something that really sort of put the kibosh on plans for Amtrak, because originally Amtrak was going to be funded like the interstate system, in that each state has to take care of their tracks, but the Amtrak service is run, by federal government subsidy. Let me just give you some examples of travel times using French TGV operational speeds. Okay, Atlanta to Washington D.C. 9.5 hours by car at 70, 75 miles an hour.
Right.
By high-speed rail, by French standard high-speed rail. So that's 9.5 hours by car. It is 3 hours and 20 minutes by French style high-speed train.
And you brought up a really good point.
If you take into account, because the flight is an hour, if you take into account the fact that you don't have it's city center to city center, you're not having to get off a plane to then be driven into the city. Okay. You're also, flying is about 90 times the carbon footprint of a diesel electric train taking you anywhere. Okay. And here's the thing is that, people are like, oh, it's not profitable. It's not profitable. Here's the thing. So you have crews that work these trains and you only have a set number of trains, right? So the trains themselves cost money in maintenance, but they don't need maintenance all that often. Trains are really, really fucking robust. The crews though, so instead of one crew working a 9.5-hour train journey with high-speed rail, you can now have that same crew doing 3 journeys. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can lower fares and still make it profitable. Let me give you another example of just the insane amount of what high-speed rail can do. Now, at the fastest a French train can go, it is hang on just a second. It is
well, while you're looking it up, like you brought up a point that I noticed when I moved from Georgia to New York, is that the culture, especially the further south, and I'm assuming the further out to the Midwest you go, the culture of like of the rail infrastructure and like having like subways and stuff like that, it doesn't exist because these fucking places don't have the infrastructure, and it would greatly benefit them if they did. So like I know when I moved to New York,
it's called in city planner and civil engineer terms, what that's called is last mile transportation. Well, I have flown into the Boise, Idaho airport. How am I getting to my hotel in downtown Boise, a 30-minute drive away? Is there a bus? Is there a light rail? Is there a metro? Is there anything? Am I going to have to rent a car and add congestion to the highway system?
Even the bus routes down south were so
the bus routes are designed intentionally to make people not want to ride buses.
Yeah,
in the places where they are, it just gets defunded. This is only not the case in large metro centers like Orlando. Not really a speck of rail. They have some rail, but that's really more of a commuter train that comes into the city every day and then goes out every day. Like it's just one-way transportation. All the trains start in the suburbs and then one by one on a 30-minute schedule leave to go pick up commuters who are going to the city core. And then those trains just sit 8 hours and take a nap, and then they start working their way back out of the city. One at 4:30, one at 5, one at 5:30, one at 5:45, and that's how that works.
I don't know how good the rail system and the ridership is on the West Coast. I know the Northeast, especially. I think once you hit Virginia and get higher,
Caltrain is pretty good. Caltrain, which is sort of the Silicon Valley into San Francisco commuter system, and it's actually pretty old. It was started by Southern Pacific Railway in, I want to say, the 19 teens. Oh, and you want to know something really cool?
Yes.
You remember Sprint, the cell phone provider?
Yeah.
Yes.
Their name is an acronym. They were not always an independent company. They got spun off in order for their original parent company to avoid some like monopolistic, antitrust laws. Sprint stands for Southern Pacific Railroad internal network telecommunications. Sprint.
Oh, Jesus. But yeah,
it was originally started so that Southern Pacific didn't have to rely on AT&T for their or the Bell network for calling around to different depots and stuff.
I don't want to rush it, but we are gonna run out of time because we still got some other stuff to do. The only thing I wanted to add before I let you finish is I feel like high-speed rail is gonna have to be just like air travel, just like the telephone, where it's like it's something amazing in its application and amazingly good for people, and you're gonna have to ram it down people's fucking throats, whether they want it or not, because once they have it, they'll realize how good it is. But
well, and it's originally the airlines were not that big a threat to the railroads because the airlines, especially jet airlines, it was all single class, baby. It was all first class. That's why everyone's like, oh, look at all these photos of people really dressing up back in the day. Yeah, because that was all the upper crust people who were flying.
Yeah,
that's who it
was.
But
my point is,
everyone else was taking the fucking train. But just let me give you one example of an extreme example. But hang on, it's 2018. Okay, San Francisco, California, to Washington D.C.
Okay.
By French, SNCF standard operating speed. Driving is 42 hours.
Okay.
Driving is 42 hours. Flying.
I've made that equivalent trip before from Atlanta to LA.
Flying is 4 hours and 55 minutes. By French standard high-speed rail, it would be 11 hours. And on the way, it would serve Denver, Salt Lake City, Sacramento, St. Louis, Kansas City, the other Kansas City, possibly Chicago, Tallahassee, not Tallahassee.
I was like, that's a dip.
Memphis, Nashville. Yeah, just making the round.
I was like, the train's just like, woo! All right.
But so it's and Boston to Miami, 21-hour drive, 3.5 hours by plane. It would be 6 hours by high-speed rail.
Yeah, I just
and
don't
it would
know.
Connect a shit ton of cities along the way.
Because
just
you run
following
into
the interstate.
You
just
run into
high-speed rail following the interstate.
When planes
you need the regional rail to connect with it, and you need local public transportation in order to get people moving. And that
comes down to the people, the progressives that are pushing for this stuff are awesome. They're terrible at branding. You know what I mean? I guarantee if the Republican fucking monsters got behind high-speed rail, they would have some weird racist chant that had people like fired up for the train. You know what I mean? Like they would have a bit. You'd have like Klansmen
and black people run from the train again, and they'd all
if Trump did high speed rail, it would just be 4 lines from San Diego, Albuquerque, San Antonio, and Houston, and they would all run straight to Mexico City. That would be it. It would just be the deportation express. That's what that would be. Yeah.
So we got so we do want to do Wilda's your that's cute news for today.
Hadn't did that's cute news. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done these. So if anyone's not familiar, like a year, 2 years ago, we used to have these segments, and traditionally what that cute news was supposed to be about was like, here's a company that says, turning record profits from this year, but look at that, it's destroying the environment and laying off all of its employees, right?
Yes.
I think a great
oopsie whoopsie.
I think a great that's cute news is like Bobby Kotick recently decided to give himself a $200 million bonus this year, and he's also laying off like another 300 employees, and like their combined incomes would be just a tiny little bit of that bonus that he's giving to himself.
Or like Elon Musk said, people are going to die getting to Mars, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. You first, Elon.
Yeah, go for it. Oh, I absolutely cheered that when I saw that article. I was like, yes, please go to Mars and die.
When I found that article, I was like,
it doesn't matter, just die.
I was like, this is for you, Bobby.
But with this, that's cute news. I think the insurrectionist roundup would be like a good thing to dip back in on, because we know that the Capitol rioters are being hunted down by the FBI, but we haven't really looked at that in a hot minute. What are we, a quarter of the way into the year now? No, we're a third of the way into the year, almost halfway done.
I think somebody put up a collaborative videos of a bunch of them getting arrested, and they did it with the music to the ending. I think was it Goodfellas, where everybody was getting arrested. So
I saw that a long time ago with like Trump and his administration, like being all locked up. Someone put that together at the top of the Mueller report, and I'm like, that would be wonderful if that happened.
Oh no, this was the rioters, like the insurrection is legitimately getting cuffed and taken away, which was glorious. But you're gonna tell us more about them?
I'd actually be interested in watching it. It'd be very cathartic.
I'll see if I can find it.
We'll also link it in the description of this episode for our listeners that want to see this as well. But anyway, so the insurrectionists are still being rounded up. They never stopped arresting people involved in the Capitol riots. It's still going on. Everyone that tried to overthrow America in Trump's stupid name now gets to sleep with one eye open every night, wondering when the feds will show up looking for them.
I love that for them.
Well, just for people that are so scared that the government is watching them and tracking them and coming after them, it's very fun that none of them wore a mask or any kind of facial.
Oh, they live streamed it. They live streamed it.
A lot of them did too. But like, if only there was a thing in America right now where them wearing a mask would have been beneficial to them, and they could have just shown up masked, and no one would have recognized their faces. It's so strange that they happen to live in a culture where none of them do that.
It just seems nobody knows about spirit gum and like fake eyebrows or anything. Nope, just you're rolling in with your work badge hanging from your t-shirt.
Well, one day recently showed up wearing
something all those people could take note of. It was an old spy master from like the fucking Cold War said one of the best disguises is gaining or losing 50 pounds.
I'm currently working on that right now.
Your profile looks different. Your body shape is different. It really is. It's one of the best ways to hide.
I'm just imagining a very an East German guy just in a room with a bare light bulb, just eating hamburgers, like to change his profile.
Well, no, if you want to gain weight super fast, you have to jump on that. What you do is you just like pints of ice cream.
Yes,
you want to drink a melted pint of ice cream with every meal.
Yeah,
that's how you gain weight.
But I wish I could find the equivalent of that to get unfat, but
you drink the pint in reverse or something.
Yeah, throw up a pint with every meal.
We just accidentally reinvented bulimia.
No, it's my bulimia.
Yeah.
That's a great kind of the earlier thing too. Yes,
my bulimia.
It's my bulimia, folks. You get it right here and you sleep on it with my pillow. It'll keep you warm at night. So most of the insurrectionists have fumbled their way into custody. Funny enough, nearly all of them have family members willing to sell them out because, surprisingly, most of them aren't very good people. They know loads of people that can't wait to tell the FBI about them.
It's kind of our revenge on our one shitty uncle that has been ruining Thanksgiving since forever. And it's just like, buddy, we've been waiting for a moment like this since we were 13.
Just waiting for you to fuck up, Grandpa.
Yeah.
Jesus. No, there has been a few of those like millennial and xennial kids ratting their parents out. Like, just warms my cold, dead anarchist heart. Like
one guy got caught on Tinder because he was like matched with this girl, and it's like he had a picture of himself like, yeah, I made it all the way into the statue, and she's like, I don't think we're a good match. And then it was like, hey, FBI, I got a guy for you.
Yeah.
Many of the other. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. Go ahead. I
was going to say many of the other Capitol rioters simply do stupid things like posting on their social media that they're the ones that did it, and they're hunted down that way. And in some cases, the FBI has gone as far as to go undercover and talk to the supposed rioters, and they all just like loudly and proudly say, "Yeah, I did it. Do it again. Want to see pictures?" One guy had like the same hat in the picture at the riot as he did on his girlfriend's Instagram page, and they're like, "Yep, same hat, yeah, same guy." And so they went to talk to him at work, and he was also like, "Yep, that was me."
Well, the thing about it is, and this is where I lose even more respect for him, you see how quickly they shrivel like a pair of testicles in winter as soon as those bracelets go on them. All of a sudden it's, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm being arrested.
Oh, well, no, some of them know exactly why they're being arrested. They'll tell them. They literally, Trump made me do this.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's going to be a very interesting summer full of legal defenses. I am waiting with bated breath to see Legal Eagle take on this.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't watching him, man, Legal Eagle, that's such an awesome YouTube channel.
Yes, I do. Really I watched that. YouTube channel a lot.
Oh yeah. Speaking of YouTube channels, mine's still going. You guys watching?
I haven't watched
any. No, it's fine. It's fine.
I haven't supported anybody.
It's fine. Most of my episodes only have, like, the first video got 20 views, and so far I'm averaging 4. So
I'll put it on all my devices and just put it on repeat.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah. No. It's the Spotify farm thing again. Yeah.
You guys ready?
The people getting arrested becoming like shrinking violets. So far, only one person has pled guilty. And it's
oh yeah,
after being
and he's
arrested,
singing like a bird.
It's like, I will make a plea deal immediately. Like, give me a more lenient charge, and I will rat all my fellow members out. And basically, he had been charged with assaulting a Capitol officer with bear spray, and they dropped that particular charge, in exchange for his cooperation. So that's really just another way the criminals are being rounded up. They're a bunch of snakes in the grass, even to each other, disloyal snitches, one and all. But currently, the Justice Department has charged 440 people and are poised to charge more than 500 other.
Which is like it's almost like it's like a class action prosecution.
Yeah,
you know, you might be entitled to compensation. Were you at the Capitol building on this day? Please call this number. Do we want to close it out with a Dear Wesley?
Yeah, I mean, we're currently 3 minutes over time, but I think there's always time for sugar-free Wesley.
I chose this Dear Abby because this is actually something I've been reading a lot, and it just bothers me how naive people are. This is called it says stress of pandemic changes beloved sister's personality. So, Dear Wesley, my sister and I are best friends. She has always been caring, empathetic, and passionate about helping others. Now, however, COVID turned her into a real piece of work. Since the pandemic,
I feel like she was always a piece of work, and you're finding this out because you're trapped with her.
She has become increasingly selfish. She interrupts people's conversations to talk about herself and complains nonstop about how COVID has ruined her life, as if the rest of us haven't experienced this too. She shouts hysterically when the Wi-Fi stops working and refuses to volunteer for the most basic household tasks. At first, I tried to be patient because I understand it's a stressful time, but however, after 10 monster months of this, I'm at my wit's end. We live together. We go to college together. We share the same friends. How can I tolerate her self-centeredness until the pandemic is finally over? And what if this new version of her never goes away?
I feel like that's always been her. It just, you found out about it because you can't get away from her because you're trapped indoors all the time.
Yes, you are correct.
For someone to pretend to be a good person when they're around you in small doses, but if they have to be around you all the time, their real personality will begin to slip out.
I have a little philosophical thing. It's how I choose my friends and people that I hang out with. It's called the elevator test. If I couldn't stand to be trapped in a fucking elevator with you for like 3 hours or longer, I don't want to hang out with you. You know what I mean? Like everybody that I associate with, if we got stuck in an elevator, I'd be like, well, at least we have interesting stuff to talk about. And they're not an asshole that screams about the Wi-Fi, you know? The reason I brought this one up particular, because it seems kind of benign, is there's actually, if you read these, there's a ton of these, not just like my sister, but it's like, turns out my husband, we have had our second child, and he says that child care is not the man's responsibility, and told me to, quote, quit being a pussy about pregnancy. Like, it's a bunch of stuff like that. And they're like, he's really changed. He hasn't. That's who he is.
He's always been that guy.
Yeah. You just didn't get trapped in an elevator with him for 4 hours. Yeah. So what would Wesley's advice be, Waldo?
Oh my God. what you gotta do is you just gotta get a better sister. So what you need to do is tell this current sister to just, go away. She can go take care of your mom who had hernia surgery a few years back. And you can get a mail order sister and she'll be better and nicer to you. Oh.
I mean,
mail order. It's hard to think of what Wesley would say in this situation.
Well, I feel like this is this is how Wesley lives before the pandemic with his dad.
Or you just got to live with my dad a little bit, and then you'll be appreciative that your sister doesn't run around naked all the time and try to hit you with his willy.
Or shoot holes in the ceiling when the Wi-Fi goes out. Boy, the goddamn Wi-Fi's out again.
Just try to out crazy her. Go deep dive in. Try to get her to be the one to break up the relationship. Like,
I like that. So
is there no?
If it was like Dark Wesley, it'd be like, well, you just gotta wait till she goes to sleep and then pour wet cement on her head. I don't recognize as a woman.
If she screams about the Wi-Fi, you have to scream about something else, like the cable being out, even though you haven't had cable since like 2004. You know what I mean? Like, the goddamn cable is out again.
I was trying to think about that. I haven't had cable since like it came free with some internet for 6 months about a decade and a half ago.
Yep.
And it was just basic cable. So it was like Cartoon Network. To this day, like even having a degree in communications broadcasting, it blows my mind that we were really conned into watching commercials on a service we pay for.
Mm-hmm.
That blows my mind. Like
when I go see my parents, they still have
mine too.
satellite or something, and I'll sit down and I go, what the fuck? I've seen an ad for My Pillow 4 times.
The impulse
like it's
to pause
insane
something
sitting
so
through
you can go
commercials.
to the
Every time I go home for the
real.
holidays, it's like, oh my God, this is insufferable. I can't do this.
And
I just watched 15 minutes worth of commercials, the opening credit to the show, and then 20 more minutes of commercials.
And
like,
because,
oh my God.
And because you think about this too. We're used to internet very targeted marketing based on our metadata. So now we're watching shit we don't give a fuck about. Like, dude, I don't want a Hyundai. I'm sick of fucking Hyundai commercials. I know that your market research has said that people that watch this network at this time want a Hyundai. I don't want a fucking Hyundai. Stop trying to sell me a Hyundai. Which is going to be the name of this episode.
What you need My Pillow for? You need my Hyundai.
I was like, oh my fucking God. Or sometimes, they'll get the commercials wrong. So they'll play the same commercial like back to back within the same span. And I'm like, I'm going to commit suicide.
Yeah, that happens. That's a traffic error is what that is.
Yeah.
I currently work at a TV station. Just support your local TV stations, folks. But like the cable, don't. Friends don't let friends have cable. It's not necessary. You can buy a $10
more people having
antenna.
Cable be like better for your network?
You can buy like a $10 antenna and have at least like 15 channels. Like,
dude, antenna is, when I was a kid, it was 3 channels. Now you buy a cheap antenna, it's like 30 channels. And music. There's music
growing
on there.
up, I grew up on 5 channels. Fox, ABC, CBS, PBS, and ABC. Did I say that one?
Yeah.
So it should have been
those are all the channels.
NBC, ABC, CBS, Fox, PBS.
Yes.
What's funny is
now
I had those 5 growing up.
3 kinds of
those 5
PBS
for the first 14
now.
years of my life.
Yeah, there's 3 kinds of PBS. Then you have also
there's 3 kinds of PBS.
Yeah, so there's PBS 1, PBS 2, and then PBS Create, which is kind of the kids channel.
Right.
And then there's the CW.
The one with
there's
whichever one has
My
Mr.
Network
Rogers on it.
Television.
That's the one I want to see. And Lamb Chops Play Along.
So there's the CW, My Network TV, then there's RTV, Antenna TV, Laughs TV, Comet, which is a really awesome channel. They do a lot of sci-fi programming. Just shit, you would never, shit that you can't stream legitimately.
Well,
but haven't seen in a while.
When we first moved into this apartment, the internet guy was backed up because of COVID. And so it was like a month till we got internet. So we hooked up the antenna. We're watching like 70s TV. We're like, oh, Rhoda, you're the funniest. Like, I was a little bit sad when we got the internet because it was like we had gone back to a simpler time. Anyway,
I remember those times. I used to like back then, going and buying VHS tapes at the local store or whatever was like my bread and butter because I'd use those to record things and I could pause through commercials and then I would just be able to watch my shows without commercials and it was wonderful. And back in my day, we liked it like that, kids.
Oh yeah, no, I had all. Do you guys remember the Sci-Fi Channel show Farscape?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had all of Farscape meticulously recorded on VHS.
We had Seinfeld, me and my buddy. We basically watched we watched basically like well, now that I'm older, I'm like, this show's just mean. But when I was younger, I'm like, they're so sophisticated. They're sophisticated New Yorkers. You know?
I have
now I'm like, what a bunch of dicks.
Old episode of Power Rangers recorded, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family Matters, and all kinds of old shows.
All right, guys, I have to get back to work. But
all right, guys. What do we want to pitch besides Darkwing Duck before we go?
Well, there's still Dusk Belt. There are 2 books out. As soon as Peter is done reading the 3rd one, he's a very slow reader, folks. You got to give him time. I know it's been a few months. We've been advertising this, but
I have it. Well, you can't see it because of the what do you call it? It just disappears. Yes, I have the book in my hands. It's printed out. I just got to read it.
Well, Wolf and the Ghost. You have the right one?
I think so. We'll see.
Because you printed the wrong one the first time.
I'll print the right one. It worked.
Needed to read those, so don't throw that one away.
I'll print it at work tomorrow.
This again.
Anyway,
so buy the first 2 books and help support Peter's reading habit, and so that he can get through that book, and then he'll have a good reason to, and then we can sell the 3rd one to you.
Yes.
If you search for Dusk Belt on Amazon, you can find it. I'm going to start including a link to these books in the description of the episode, so you can buy Super Lad, the most recent one. There's other books you can buy them after you buy Super Lad. Fun times will be had by all. You can find us at Those Muckrakers on Twitter, or thosemuckrakers@gmail.com if you want to email us, send us your own Dear Wesley story. If you've had
we'll read it, we'll discuss it,
and you want to ask us about it. Yeah.
Bobby, what you got?
You can find us on iTunes and all kinds of places.
Oh, just my YouTube channel. I have 5 subscribers. I would like more, please. If anybody wants to subscribe. I'm mostly playing City Skylines. I don't have a microphone yet, so it's just the ambiance of the game. Yeah, I think it's going really well. The city of Metroburg just got 2 new suburbs, and I'm about to start laying out a rail system.
Nice. Yeah. Well, hopefully you don't have to convince all the dumb shits that the rail system is going to change their lives.
In this game, you're just God. Yeah, you're just God. A train line goes where you say it goes, nice. and it operates how you say it operates.
You're basically
one of the things I'm doing is I'm trying to kind of evolve how the city grows. Like a lot of people who play City Skylines, the game mechanics really encourage what I like to call Saudi pet project cities. So it's just a massive sheet of high-speed interstates with like little islands of city in the middle of it, and it has a couple exits, and then go along the highway, and then boom, yet another one. It's completely ringed by highways. I'm trying to grow the city a little bit more naturally. There's another YouTuber called City Planner Plays, who's a city planner, and he talks a lot in his videos about like, well, that's not realistic in this. And then there's also the big kahuna, the big name in City Skylines Let's Plays, my personal hero, Biffa. Biffa, the spiffing. Biffa is a British guy. No, his channel, the logo's a B with a T stain.
My hero.
Huh?
I was just doing a pitch. Buy my hero, folks.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So I'll get them to put a link in the description if anybody's interested. Check it out, please. Even if you don't, just subscribe. Turn it on in the background. Let it run on mute, just so I get the views. Please.
And if anybody that happens to listen to this knows anything about grad school grants, or just wants to give me a whole bunch of money, I just got accepted to another grad program, which is fun. But now I have to do all of the stupid, please give me money. I'm a deserving individual that would like to further blah, 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 blah. Yeah. So I'm having a lot of fun with that.
All right.
Bye, everybody. Guys. See you next week.
Bye.
See you.